The morning sun filtered through the blinds of Dr. Elaine Murphy's office at Stanford University. Dust particles danced in the light as she sorted through a stack of student papers. 20 years as a xenobiology professor had earned her respect in a field that mostly dealt in theory rather than practice. After all, humanity had yet to make contact with alien life. Elaine rubbed her tired eyes and reached for her coffee mug. The ceramic felt unusually warm against her fingers. She looked down and froze. Where her plain blue mug had been moments before, a small translucent cube now sat, pulsing with a soft blue light. "What on earth?" she whispered, poking it cautiously with a pencil. The cube responded immediately. It rose an inch off her desk and projected a holographic message into the air. Strange symbols floated before transforming into English text. "Dr. Elaine Murphy, your presence is requested at the 457th Galactic Academic Coalition Conference. Topic: Comparative Biology of Emergent Species. Your contribution would be valued. Transportation provided." Elaine stared at the message, then laughed nervously. "Very funny, Jerry," she called out, assuming her colleague from the physics department was playing a prank. She walked to her office door and peered into the hallway. Empty. When she returned to her desk, the cube had expanded, now displaying a three-dimensional star map with one point brightly pulsing. Below it appeared what looked like a shuttle schedule with today's date. Elaine's scientific curiosity battled with her common sense. She picked up her phone to call campus security, but hesitated. What if this was real? The opportunity of a lifetime. She had spent her career theorizing about alien biology. If there was even a small chance. "I must be losing my mind," she muttered, but found herself following the map's directions to a remote area behind the university's observatory. At the indicated spot stood what appeared to be a normal shuttle bus with tinted windows. The door hissed open as she approached. Elaine took a deep breath and stepped inside. "Welcome, Dr. Murphy," said a melodic voice. Elaine gasped. The driver's seat was occupied by a being with blue-tinted skin and 6 limbs, 4 of which were manipulating controls on a dashboard unlike anything she had ever seen. "My name is Zenith," the being said. "I will be your transport liaison to Harmonia Station. Please secure yourself for departure." Elaine gripped the nearest seat as the door closed behind her. "This can't be happening." "I assure you it is," Zenith replied with what might have been amusement. "Your species has been under observation for several decades. This is simply the first official invitation extended to a human representative." The interior of what she had thought was a bus began to shimmer and expand, revealing its true form. A sleek spacecraft with viewing ports showing the sky above. "We will engage faster than light travel once we clear your atmosphere," Zenith explained casually. "The journey takes approximately 3 hours by your time measurement." The craft rose smoothly, causing Elaine's stomach to lurch. She watched in amazement as Stanford's campus shrank below them, then the Bay Area, then the entire state of California. Within minutes, they had left Earth's atmosphere, its blue curve filling one viewport. "This is impossible," Elaine whispered. "For humans, perhaps," Zenith said, "but not for the 342 spacefaring civilizations that form the coalition." Elaine's mind raced with questions. Why me? You were selected for your open-minded approach to theoretical xenobiology. Your papers on potential convergent evolution across different planetary systems were particularly noted. My papers? Who read my papers? Professor Krell Thun found them insightful, if somewhat limited by Earth's isolation. He specifically requested your presence for his keynote lecture. Elaine looked out at the stars, now visible as the craft accelerated away from Earth. "What's the lecture about?" Zenith's 4 free limbs made a gesture she couldn't interpret. The professor specializes in predatory species analysis. His lecture is titled Terran Paradox, The Evolution of Universe's Perfect Predator. It's about humans, Dr. Murphy. It's about you. The craft hummed as it prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed. Elaine gripped her seat tighter, her life as she knew it already light years behind her. The ship slowed from its faster-than-light travel, and Elaine felt her stomach settle. Through the viewport, she saw a massive structure floating in space. Harmonia Station looked like a giant snowflake made of metal and glass, with arms stretching outward from a central hub. Lights of all colors twinkled across its surface. "We have arrived," Zenith announced. Harmonia Station houses the Galactic Academic Coalition headquarters and serves as neutral ground for all member species. The ship docked smoothly at one of the station's many ports. Elaine stood on shaky legs, both from the journey and from the reality of what she was about to experience. "Please follow me," Zenith said. "Professor Zylock will meet us in the arrival chamber." Elaine stepped through the airlock and immediately froze. The arrival hall teemed with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some floated in the air, others crawled along the walls, and many walked on various numbers of limbs. The air smelled of spices she couldn't name and hummed with languages she couldn't begin to understand. "First time off-world shock," Zenith explained. "It happens to everyone. Just breathe slowly." A tall creature approached them. It walked on 8 spindly legs and had a body covered in iridescent blue-green fur. Its 4 eyes blinked independently at different intervals. "Dr. Murphy, welcome to Harmonia. I am Professor Zylock of the Viridian Historical Institute. I will be your guide during your stay." The professor's voice sounded like wind chimes, but was somehow perfectly understandable. "Thank you," Elaine managed to say. "This is overwhelming." "Understandable. You are the first human to attend our conference. Many here are quite curious about you." Zylock gestured with one of his upper limbs. "Please follow me to your quarters. You can refresh yourself before the welcome reception." As they walked through the station's wide corridors, Elaine noticed many delegates stopping to stare at her. Some whispered to each other, others moved away as she passed. A few small floating creatures actually came closer, examining her with what appeared to be scanning devices. "Am I that interesting?" she asked Zylock. "More than you realize," the professor replied. "Earth is classified as what many species call a death world, a planet with environmental conditions considered extremely harsh by galactic standards. Species that evolve on such worlds are of particular interest." "Death world," Elaine repeated. "Earth seems perfectly pleasant to me. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, atmospheric oxygen levels that would be toxic to many species, aggressive microbiota, and regular natural disasters." Zylock listed. "And yet humans not only survive but thrive there. It is quite remarkable." They entered a large dome filled with plants from across the galaxy. In the center stood a tall, willowy being with skin that shifted colors like an oil slick in sunlight. Several attendants hovered around it, taking notes as it spoke. "That is Professor Kral Fun," Zylock said quietly, "the foremost expert on predatory species evolution. His keynote address tomorrow is the most anticipated event of the conference." Kral Fun turned, his skin flashing bright gold when he spotted Elaine. He dismissed his attendants with a wave of his long fingers and glided over to them. "Dr. Murphy," he said, his voice deep and resonant. "At last we meet in person. Your journey was comfortable, I hope." "Yes, thank you," Elaine replied, feeling strangely small in his presence. "I'm still trying to process everything." "Of course you are. Your species has been isolated until now." Kralfun's eyes, silver pools without pupils, studied her intently. "I have studied Earth and its inhabitants for 50 cycles. Your planet has produced something unique in the galaxy, a perfect apex predator that combines physical capability with unmatched cognitive flexibility." "Humans? Perfect predators." Elaine laughed nervously. "We're not that impressive." "That modesty," Kralfun replied, "is precisely one of the traits that makes your kind so dangerous. You do not even recognize your own nature." His skin rippled with patterns of dark blue. "Tomorrow, I will explain to the assembly why humanity should be both welcomed and feared. Rest well, Dr. Murphy. Tomorrow will be illuminating." As Kralfun glided away, Elaine noticed other delegates watching her with new wariness. What exactly had she gotten herself into? And what did this alien professor know about humanity that even humans didn't realize about themselves? The amphitheater was enormous. Elaine stood at the entrance, taking in the sight of thousands of alien beings filling the tiered seating. The space curved in a perfect circle with a central platform floating in the middle. Holograms flickered above empty seats, allowing even more attendees to participate remotely from across the galaxy. "Your seat is in the front row," Professor Xylox said, guiding her down a glowing path. "As the subject species representative, you have an honored position." "Subject species," Elaine whispered. "That sounds like I'm a lab specimen." "In a manner of speaking, you are," Xylox replied. "This is the first comprehensive galactic presentation on human evolutionary traits. Many delegates traveled great distances to attend." As they reached the front row, Elaine noticed the seats were all different shapes and sizes to accommodate the diverse anatomies of the attendees. Her seat looked refreshingly normal, apparently designed to human specifications. She sat down, feeling the eyes of countless alien beings on her back. "The lecture will begin shortly," Xylox said, settling his 8-legged body into a web-like structure next to her. "Try to remain calm. Some of what you hear may be unsettling from a human perspective." A musical tone resonated through the amphitheater, and the lights dimmed. The central platform began to glow, and Professor Kral Fun rose from below, his iridescent skin shifting through a rainbow of colors before settling into a scholarly shade of deep purple. 4 floating orbs circled around him, projecting images into the air. Distinguished colleagues, honored guests, and esteemed members of the Galactic Academic Coalition, Kral Fun began, his voice amplified to reach every corner of the vast space. "Today we examine one of the most fascinating evolutionary puzzles in our known universe. How did a seemingly unremarkable bipedal mammal from a mid-sized planet in the outer rim become the most efficient predatory species we have ever encountered?" One of the floating orbs projected an image of Earth, rotating slowly. Sol 3, known to its inhabitants as Earth, appears unexceptional at first glance. Yet this planet has produced a species that defies conventional evolutionary patterns. Humans have no natural armor, no claws, limited visual range, moderate hearing, and unremarkable strength compared to many predators even on their own world. The projection changed to show various Earth animals: a lion, an eagle, a shark. These are Earth's obvious predators. They possess specialized adaptations for hunting. Yet they are not the apex. This is. The image changed to show a simple silhouette of a human. A murmur ran through the audience. Elaine shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "My 50 cycles of research have led me to a startling conclusion," Kral Fun continued. "Humans are not merely predators. They are perfect predators, evolved through a unique set of circumstances that have never been replicated elsewhere in our known galaxy." Another orb displayed a timeline of human evolution, from early hominids to modern humans. What makes humans unique is not any single adaptation, but rather the unprecedented combination of physical capability and cognitive flexibility. This combination has allowed them to become apex predators not just on their own world, but potentially throughout the universe. The amphitheater grew completely silent. Elaine could feel the tension in the air. When most species evolve intelligence, Kral Fun explained, they typically lose their predatory nature. Intelligence tends to favor cooperation over aggression. Yet humans have maintained both, creating what I term cooperative aggression. The ability to work together specifically to become more effective hunters. Kral Fun's skin shifted to a deep red as he leaned forward, his silver eyes scanning the audience. "Some of you have questioned the wisdom of including humans in our galactic community. You fear their predatory nature. These concerns are not unfounded. However, to make an informed decision, we must first understand what we are dealing with." He turned directly to Elaine, acknowledging her presence. "With us today is Dr. Elaine Murphy, a human scientist who specializes in xenobiology, the study of alien life. How fitting that she now finds herself the alien being studied. Dr. Murphy, I hope you will forgive our scientific curiosity. All eyes in the amphitheater turned to Elaine. She gave a small, nervous nod, her heart pounding in her chest. The lecture was just beginning, and already she felt like a dangerous creature on display. Krelvan moved his long fingers in a complex pattern, and the floating orbs rearranged themselves. New images appeared, showing human anatomy in detailed cross-sections. Let us begin with the physical adaptations, he said. While unimpressive at first glance, the human body hides remarkable predatory features. The first image zoomed in on human legs and feet. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. Unlike most predators that rely on burst speed to catch prey, humans can run for extraordinary distances without rest. This endurance exceeds nearly all other species. Murmurs spread through the audience. A small green-skinned delegate near Elaine whispered to its neighbor, "Barbaric." "Observe," continued Kralfun. The orbs displayed footage of tribal humans chasing an antelope across a savanna. The humans ran steadily hour after hour, while the antelope bounded away, rested, then ran again when the humans approached. The prey is faster, but tires. Humans simply continue until the prey collapses from exhaustion. The footage showed the exhausted antelope finally unable to rise as the hunters approached. Many in the audience shifted uncomfortably. Elaine felt strange watching this basic hunting technique presented as something sinister. But this is merely the beginning, Kralfun said. The display changed to show human hands. These appendages represent one of the most versatile hunting tools in the galaxy. The precise grip allows humans to manipulate objects with extraordinary accuracy. The image changed to show a human throwing a spear. This ability to throw objects with force and precision is nearly unique. Most species lack the shoulder mobility and neural wiring needed for such actions. A human can kill from a distance without technology, using only a sharpened stick and their natural throwing ability. The next image showed human skin with sweat glands highlighted. Perhaps most remarkable is the human cooling system. Unlike most mammals that pant to cool themselves, humans expel water through millions of specialized glands on their skin surface. This sweating allows them to regulate body temperature even during extended physical exertion. One of the orbs showed thermal imaging of various species running. The animals glowed brighter and hotter with exertion until they stopped from overheating. The human image maintained a steady temperature. This combination of endurance and cooling efficiency makes humans the ultimate persistence predator. On their world, no prey animal can outlast a determined human hunter. Kralthun's skin shifted to a deep orange as he continued. Now observe this footage from a human sporting event called a marathon. The display showed thousands of humans running a great distance. These humans run over 40,000 steps continuously for pleasure. What would be a life-or-death survival situation for most species is recreational activity for humans. The audience reacted with sounds Elaine couldn't interpret. Some seemed horrified, others fascinated. Next, consider their omnivorous flexibility. The display showed humans eating various foods. Humans can consume almost anything organic. Their digestive system adapts to new food sources with remarkable speed. This allowed them to colonize nearly every ecosystem on their planet, from frozen tundra to scorching deserts. Kralthun moved closer to the edge of the platform, directly facing Elaine. But the most alarming physical attribute is their resilience to injury. The displays showed medical images of broken bones healing, wounds closing, and humans adapting to major injuries. Humans can survive injuries that would kill most species. They can lose limbs and adapt. Their bones knit together after breaking. Their blood clots quickly to prevent fatal bleeding. And most remarkably, they can continue fighting even when severely injured. Kralthun paused dramatically. A wounded predator is typically a dead predator. Not so with humans. Pain that would incapacitate most species merely angers them. Elaine noticed several delegates moving away from her seat. She wanted to protest, to explain that humans weren't the unstoppable killing machines Kralthun described, but she found herself speechless. Everything he said was technically true, though presented in the most alarming light possible. And yet, Kralthun said, his skin shifting to a thoughtful blue, these physical adaptations are merely the foundation. The true danger of humans lies in what evolved alongside their predatory bodies, their minds. The floating orbs shifted again, now displaying images of the human brain alongside various alien brains. Professor Kralthun's skin rippled with patterns of deep purple as he moved to the next part of his lecture. The human mind, he began, is where we find the true source of their predatory dominance. While many species evolved specialized intelligence, humans develop generalized problem-solving abilities that make them uniquely adaptable. One orb zoomed in on the frontal lobe of the human brain. This region enables complex planning, a critical hunting skill. Humans don't just chase prey, they predict where prey will go. They set traps. They create strategies spanning days or even seasons. The display changed to show early humans making tools. Observe how humans extend their natural abilities through tool creation. When they lack claws, they create knives. When they lack fur, they take it from other animals. When they cannot fly, they build machines to carry them through the air. A delegate with translucent skin and multiple eye stalks raised a limb. Many species use tools, Professor. How is this different? An excellent question, Kralthun replied. The difference lies in how humans approach problem solving. Most species develop a limited set of tools for specific purposes. Humans continuously improve their tools in a never-ending cycle. The display showed the evolution of human weapons, from simple spears to complex machinery. A human is never satisfied with a tool that merely works. They immediately begin imagining how to make it work better. This constant innovation stems directly from their predatory nature, always seeking advantage, always improving hunting efficiency. Elaine noticed many delegates shifting uncomfortably. From their perspective, humans must seem like a species obsessed with becoming better killers. But the most fascinating aspect of human cognition is their pattern recognition ability, Kralthun continued. Humans see patterns everywhere, even where none exist. This trait evolved for tracking prey, but extends to all aspects of their thinking. The orbs displayed human art, mathematics, and scientific formulas. This ability allows humans to make intuitive leaps that even our most advanced computational systems cannot match. They connect seemingly unrelated concepts to create new ideas. Kralthun's voice lowered dramatically. And most alarming is their capacity for what I call cooperative aggression. The ability to form complex social alliances specifically to overcome stronger opponents. The display showed prehistoric humans in a hunting party surrounding a mammoth. Early humans routinely hunted creatures many times their size and strength. No single human could defeat such prey. But working together, they became unstoppable. Kralthun gestured toward Elaine. Our guests' ancestors didn't just adapt to their environment. They adapted their environment to suit themselves. When faced with cold, they didn't grow fur. They took the fur from other creatures and later learned to control fire. When faced with water barriers, they didn't evolve fins. They built boats. The display showed humans in various environments: deserts, mountains, forests, oceans, all adapting and surviving. This cognitive flexibility means there is virtually no environment where humans cannot thrive. Given enough time, they can solve any survival challenge. Elaine felt a mixture of pride and discomfort. Kralthun wasn't saying anything untrue, but his framing made human accomplishments sound menacing. Perhaps most concerning, Kralthun continued, his skin darkening to a deep blue, is the human capacity for abstract thinking. They can conceptualize things that don't exist and then make them real. The orbs showed human cities, spacecraft, and computers. This ability to imagine and then create is unparalleled. Most species adapt to fill an environmental niche. Humans simply create new niches. A tall crystalline being near the front made a sound like chiming bells. Are you suggesting humans should be considered a threat to the coalition? Kralthun's skin flickered briefly with red patterns. I am suggesting that humans are the first species we've encountered who evolved as apex predators and maintained those predatory instincts even as they developed advanced intelligence and technology. He turned to face the entire audience. But to fully understand the implications, we must examine how these predatory cognitive traits shaped human cultural evolution. For it is not just their bodies or individual minds that make humans dangerous. It is what happens when human minds work together. The audience's attention turned briefly to Elaine. She sat very still, aware that she was being viewed not just as a representative of her species, but as an example of the predator Kralthun was describing. The floating orbs rearranged once more. This time they showed images of human cities, technologies, and social structures throughout history. Professor Kralthun's skin shifted to a deep gold color as he began the next section of his lecture. Now we must examine the most extraordinary aspect of human evolution, how their predatory nature shaped their entire culture, he said. Unlike most peaceful spacefaring species who evolved beyond aggression, humans channeled their predatory instincts into technological advancement. The display showed early human settlements growing into towns, then cities, then sprawling metropolitan areas. Most species that achieve space travel follow a similar pattern. They gradually outgrow territorial instincts and develop cooperative societies over thousands of years. Technological advancement comes slowly, deliberately, with careful consideration of consequences. Kralthun paused dramatically. Humans followed no such pattern. The orbs now displayed a timeline of human technological development. It began with simple stone tools and rapidly progressed through various ages: bronze, iron, industrial, digital, and finally, early space exploration. Note the acceleration, Kralthun said, his voice filled with both wonder and concern. What took other species millennia, humans accomplished in mere centuries. The gap between their first powered flight and landing on their moon was a single human lifetime. 66 years. Gasps and murmurs spread through the audience. Elaine saw many delegates leaning forward, their attention completely captured. This unprecedented rate of advancement stems directly from their predatory competition. Kralthun continued. Humans organize into social groups that compete for resources and territory. This competition drives innovation at an alarming rate. The display showed various human conflicts throughout history. When one human group develops an advantage, rival groups immediately work to match or exceed it. This creates a continuous cycle of technological advancement driven by predatory instinct. I call this phenomenon predatory innovation. The ability to rapidly develop technology specifically to overcome environmental or competitive challenges. A delegate with a crystalline body structure made a sound like tinkling bells. Surely they have moved beyond such primitive drives now that they have advanced technology. That is the most fascinating aspect, Kralthun replied. They have not. They have simply redirected these drives. When not competing against other humans, they compete against nature itself, against limitations, against impossibility. The orbs showed humans climbing mountains, diving to ocean depths, and launching into space. When humans run out of frontiers to conquer, they create new ones. When they solve one problem, they immediately seek a harder one. Their predatory drive to overcome and dominate never ceases, it just finds new targets. Elaine shifted uncomfortably in her seat. She had never thought of human achievement in these terms before. Was our entire civilization really shaped by predatory instincts? Even their recreational activities reveal their nature, Kralthun said. The display showed humans playing various sports and games. They create artificial challenges with rules and boundaries, then compete fiercely within those boundaries. Even their entertainment often revolves around conflict and competition. The professor's skin rippled with patterns of blue and green. But perhaps most alarming is how humans view the universe itself. Where most species see the cosmos as something to be understood and respected, humans see it as something to be conquered. The orbs displayed quotes from famous human explorers and scientists, speaking of conquering space and mastering nature. This fundamental difference in perspective makes humans unique among spacefaring species. They do not travel to the stars simply to learn. They go to claim, to expand, to overcome. Kralfun turned to face Elaine directly. Their drive to explore is inseparable from their drive to conquer. It is the same instinct that once made them pursue prey across the savannah until it collapsed from exhaustion. A tense silence fell over the amphitheater. Elaine felt thousands of alien eyes on her, now seeing her not as a curious visitor, but as a dangerous predator in their midst. And yet, Kralfun said, his voice softening slightly, this same predatory nature has created something unprecedented. A species that refuses to accept limitations, that constantly strives to transcend its current state. For better or worse, humanity's predatory drive may be the greatest force for change our galaxy has ever encountered. Professor Kralfun's skin shifted to a neutral silver as he concluded his lecture. And so, esteemed colleagues, we must now address the question at the heart of this gathering. What place should humans have in our galactic community? The amphitheater hummed with excited chatter. Elaine sat frozen in her seat, overwhelmed by how her species had been portrayed as fascinating but dangerous predators. A tall delegate with gray skin and 4 arms rose from the audience. "I am Ambassador Nick Sparrow of the Praxian Confederacy," he announced, voice sharp and cold. "After hearing this evidence, I propose that humans be contained rather than welcomed. Their predatory nature makes them too dangerous." Murmurs of agreement spread through sections of the audience. "Their technological advancement rate is alarming," the Praxian continued. "If left unchecked, how long before humans dominate the galaxy? We have seen what happens when predator species gain interstellar travel. The Krell extinction event should remind us all of the risks." Other delegates stood, some supporting containment, others arguing for careful integration. The debate grew heated, with translation devices struggling to keep up with the various languages. Elaine felt her face grow hot. They were discussing the fate of her entire species, as if humans were dangerous animals to be managed. Professor Xylock leaned toward her, his multiple eyes blinking rapidly. "This is not unexpected," he whispered. "Many feared this reaction to Kralfun's findings. Perhaps you should speak." "Me?" Elaine whispered back. "I'm just a xenobiologist, not a diplomat." "You are the only human present," Xylock replied. "Your perspective matters." Elaine stood on shaky legs. The debate immediately quieted as all attention turned to her. She stepped forward, and a spotlight followed her movement. "I request to address the assembly," she said, her voice stronger than she expected. Kralfun nodded, his skin flashing with curious yellow patterns. "The subject species representative may speak." Elaine took a deep breath. Everything Professor Kralfun has presented is factually accurate. Humans did evolve as predators. We do have a drive to compete, to overcome, to push boundaries. She paused, looking around at the alien faces watching her. "But you've only heard half the story. The same traits that make us effective predators also drive us to protect, to nurture, to save. The same determination that lets us hunt for days also lets us search for lost children without rest. The same ingenuity that created weapons also created medicine." A floating orb moved near her, projecting her image throughout the amphitheater. "Yes, we compete, but we also cooperate on a scale that might surprise you. Humans risk their lives for strangers. We expend vast resources to save endangered species, even species that offer us no practical benefit. We develop medical technology to help the weakest among us survive." She pointed to the timeline of human advancement, still displayed on one of the orbs. "Our rapid technological progress wasn't just driven by competition. It was driven by our desire to reduce suffering, to connect with each other, to understand our place in the universe." The Praxian ambassador made a dismissive gesture. "Pretty words cannot change evolutionary truth. Predators remain predators." "With respect, Ambassador," Elaine replied, You're making the same mistake humans once made, judging a species solely by its origins rather than its choices. Yes, we evolved as predators, but we've also evolved to question our own nature, to choose kindness even when it offers no survival advantage. The amphitheater grew quiet as her words were translated for all delegates. If you truly fear what humans might become, she continued, consider this. The greatest predator in human history is our own empathy. It preys on our selfish instincts. It drives us to help others even at cost to ourselves. That's the part of human evolution Professor Krell Thun's lecture didn't cover. As she finished speaking, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the amphitheater. Red lights flashed along the walls. A computerized voice spoke in multiple languages. Security breach detected. Hostile forces have boarded the station. All delegates proceed to secure areas immediately. Panic erupted as delegates rose from their seats. Some species moved with alarming speed, while others seemed frozen in fear. What's happening? Elaine asked, turning to Professor Xylock. It appears, he said grimly, that you may have an opportunity to demonstrate your species' predatory capabilities firsthand. Chaos erupted in the amphitheater. The artificial gravity flickered, causing some floating delegates to drift helplessly while others clung to their seats. Emergency lights cast everything in an eerie red glow. Through the confusion, Elaine noticed something strange. Many of the alien delegates seemed paralyzed by indecision or fear. What should we do? She asked Professor Xylock, who was rapidly blinking all four eyes. The station's defenses have failed, Xylock said. This is highly unusual. Most delegates are not prepared for direct conflict. Elaine looked around and made a quick decision. We need to organize. Which way to the secure areas? Section 42, Level Blue, Xylock replied. But many delegates will not reach it in time. A nearby panel exploded in sparks, and several smaller aliens shrieked in fear. Without hesitation, Elaine moved toward them. Follow me, she called out. Stay together and move quickly. To her surprise, the aliens responded to her authoritative tone. She began guiding a group toward the exit, helping those who stumbled. When they reached the corridor, she saw armed figures at the far end. Sleek, reptilian beings with advanced weapons. Turkcha raiders, Xylock whispered. They target diplomatic gatherings for hostages. Elaine pulled the group back around the corner. Is there another way to the secure area? The maintenance tunnels, but the access requires security clearance. Elaine spotted a fallen security drone nearby. Can we use parts from that? Xylock's eyes widened. Yes, but we would need to. Before he finished, Elaine was already kneeling by the drone, prying open its control panel. Years of lab work had given her steady hands. She extracted a security chip and handed it to Xylock. Will this work? The professor took it with one spindly limb. Remarkable problem-solving under stress, just as Krell Thun described. They led the group to a hidden panel, used the security chip to open it, and ushered everyone inside the narrow maintenance tunnel. As they moved through the dimly lit passage, they heard weapons fire behind them. The raiders are searching for high-value delegates, Xylock explained, particularly members of the Galactic Council. Are any council members with us? Elaine asked. 3, Xylock confirmed. The crystalline being, the floating orb entity, and the blue-furred quadruped. They emerged into a large chamber where other delegates had gathered. Security forces were trying to organize a defense, but communication problems between species created confusion. Elaine spotted Professor Krell Thun in the center, his skin flashing morning patterns of red and black. Suddenly, the doors at the far end burst open. Armed raiders poured in, targeting the security forces first. Delegates scattered in panic. One raider aimed at the crystalline council member. Without thinking, Elaine grabbed a metal pipe that had fallen from the ceiling. In one fluid motion, she threw it with perfect accuracy, just as Krell Thun had described in his lecture about human throwing capabilities. The pipe struck the raider's weapon, knocking it aside just as it fired. The shot went wide, missing the council member. "Protect the council members," Elaine shouted to the security forces. "Form a perimeter." To her amazement, they responded to her commands, forming a protective circle around the important delegates. Elaine continued organizing the defense, using the environment to create barriers, directing smaller aliens to safety, and coordinating with security forces. When 3 raiders cornered a group of delegates, Elaine improvised again. She used her knowledge of the station's systems, gained from her brief time aboard, to overload a nearby panel. The resulting electrical surge disabled the raiders' weapons. Throughout the crisis, Professor Kylock observed her actions with fascination. "You are demonstrating everything from Kral Thun's lecture," he said during a brief pause in the fighting. "The split-second risk assessment, the throwing accuracy, the stress response, the group coordination. I'm just doing what needs to be done," Elaine replied, already moving to help another group of delegates. An hour later, station security regained control. The raid had failed, largely due to the unexpected resistance. As emergency teams tended to the injured, Elaine found herself surrounded by alien delegates, the same ones who had earlier debated whether humans were too dangerous to join their community. Professor Kral Thun approached, his skin now a calm blue. "It seems, Dr. Murphy, that you have provided the perfect conclusion to my lecture. Sometimes, the galaxy needs predators, particularly those who choose to protect rather than simply hunt." The Galactic Council convened an emergency session right there in the damaged chamber. Their decision was unanimous. Earth would be invited to join the Galactic Coalition, with Elaine Murphy appointed as its first ambassador. "We may fear the predator," announced the crystalline council member, "but today we learned that having the right predator as an ally makes all the difference."